Sorry, you caught me napping. As a horror author, a question I get asked quite a bit, and it seems like an odd one, to me anyway, is have you ever seen a ghost? Um, and the answer, frankly, is yes, I think. Um, which I guess is the best answer, really. It's, the answer you want to hear if you've asked that question. So I'm going to tell you this at the risk of sounding like a kook to those of you who don't believe in such things. I'll preface this by saying that as a kid, up to about the age of 11 or 12, I believed in everything. I believed there were ghosts, I believed in the Loch Ness Monster, I believed in UFOs, and there were lots of paperbacks available in the 70s when I was growing up about these things, the Bermuda Triangle, all that kind of stuff. I believed in a lot of stuff, and even the stuff I didn't believe in, I wanted to believe in. And then when I hit my sort of mid-teens, I did a complete turnaround and became an absolute skeptic about anything. If I couldn't touch it, if I couldn't feel it, if I had read somewhere that it definitely wasn't real, I didn't believe in it. And that's something I maintained right into my 30s. And that changed for me on one very particular day. My now ex-wife and I had recently had a baby, my first child, our son. And when he was a few months old, we were living up in Sydney about a street away from my in-laws. And the house that they lived in, which was the same house that my wife had grown up in, she had always maintained was haunted. And she told me a few of the things that had gone on there and what have you. And I'd always taken the position of, I believe that you believe it, but I personally don't. I think there could be, a million reasons why supposedly there's an old man who sits at the end of the bed, or, the footsteps that apparently go running up the hall to the lounge room and then stop right at the lounge room door. Those sort of things. Anyway, on this particular day, my son was probably about 3 or 4 months old, and we went round for a visit, partly just to see the family, but also because my sister-in-law at the time was renovating the house. They were building a new floor, an upper story on the house, which was an old sort of Victorian home. And we went over there and we went upstairs because it now had stairs going up to the new level, and oohed and ahed and made all the right noises. And then, as I'm sure a lot of guys will, understand, I wanted to get going. And so I did that thing where I started kind of preempting it by walking down the stairs, with my wife and the bub sort of chatting away still upstairs. So I did the whole, come on, let's get going. And I walked down the stairwell, and the way the stairwell had been installed, you could now see into one of the front bedrooms, which was my in-laws' bedroom. You couldn't see everything, but you could see over into the corner of it, and then the rest of it was kind of masked by the wall and everything like that. And as I came down the stairs, I saw, I believe, a large woman in white walk from the visible corner out of sight into what would have been the nearest corner of the room where I couldn't see. Now, I wasn't immediately taken aback by this because my late ex-mother-in-law was a large woman who often wore white. So I stood just outside the room waiting for her to come out so that I could say something smart-ass, because that was the nature of our relationship. And she didn't come out. And after about a full minute of standing there, I thought, bugger this, I'm going in to, do my one-liner. And so I stuck my head in, and there was nobody there. And about 10 seconds later, I was out on the front lawn shaking like a leaf. And about a minute after that, my wife came walking out with the bub, and she was chatting away, and she took one look at me and she went, "Are you all right?" And I just said, "Can we please go?" And after a moment, she went, "You've seen something, haven't you?" And I said, "I really want to go." And so that was that. Um, Nothing dramatic, but two things happened. One was that I have spent the intervening years, which is over 20 years now, and I do it less often now, and it's been, increasingly less over the years. But I'd think to myself, what else could it have been? There's still that part of my brain that's skeptical enough to kind of go, what else was it? Were the curtains blowing in the wind? No, we checked that, and after I'd seen it, and there weren't any windows open. Was it sunlight coming through? No, the blinds were closed. What else could it have been? And the fact is, I don't have an answer. I don't know what I saw. I think I saw something. I think I saw a large woman in white. Um, but time does make you sort of doubt yourself, though I certainly didn't at the time. The other thing is, it made me a hell of a lot less skeptical about stuff in general. Now, I haven't gone fully into believing any bit of woo that comes my way. With no disrespect to anyone, if you come to me and tell me that you've seen a ghost, my stance will still be, maybe there's a logical scientific explanation for it. As indeed maybe there is for what I think I saw. But I'm far more likely now to sit down and actually give it the time of day and have a bit of a think about it and consider it. And I was always polite when people told me these things in the past, but I'm still polite about it. But I might give it a little bit more weight and credence. Again, this doesn't mean that I subscribe to the healing power of crystals, or that I get into Reiki, or that I believe there are demons on every corner, but I do think there's a lot of stuff out there that we can't explain. And possibly one day we will be able to explain it all. We learn more about science every single day. Maybe we won't. Maybe there is nothing. Maybe I didn't see anything that day. But I know what I think I saw. And that's one of only 2 times in my life something happened to me that I couldn't explain, that seemed a little bit spooky. And if you're very nice and leave a comment below, I might tell you about the second time. Anyway, back to napping.